car starting out leaving Kirk's house.
Okay, well, with the finishing of these tail feathers, that concludes all the fabric work. Got that finished up and ready for paint. These were actually the first items I covered, but I hadn't taped them. And I think there was actually more time into taping these tail feathers than there was into covering them. It was kind of difficult around the radiuses here and some of the other stuff, but worked out really good. You just had to do it in stages where you'd put something on and then let it dry and then bend it over. And there's some complex dips. I shouldn't say complex, but some dips in here you got to work in to get nice and tight. And all the hinges cut precisely around the hinges with one piece of tape. It all worked really well. Pretty excited about it. You can see it's shiny and dull, but that's because it's the first coat of polybrush is kind of drying in an odd fashion, but looking really good. Pretty excited about that, to get it all around the hinges and nice and tight. The rudder was the most difficult, of course, just because there's more things to worry about. This is where the tail beacon and nav tail light will go. So that's actually two pieces there, one on either side. It's a circle that goes there, but I split it just to make it so it was easier to form around there before putting the trailing edge tape on that goes over top of that. All these are in a sequence. The rivets and reinforcement tapes and rivets on those, and then the big reinforcement tape on top of that. Of course, cut nice and precisely around the rudder horns, so there's no gap there. Pretty proud of that. All looking good. So I'll go ahead and let this dry. Flip them over. You can see the other side. It doesn't have it on it yet, but flip them over, get one coat on that, and then these are off to the painter, which brings me to another point. The airplane's not in here. Back to beautiful Northwest Washington weather here. Glad we got the airplane transferred over to the hangar. When it was sunny out last week, I guess summer's over. Repping the Kenmore sweatshirt on a cold, damp day. Anyway, time for another update. We're here back at Arlington Airport, where the airplane's, where my hangar's at, to get the next step in the process done. Check it out. Okay, here we are. Time for another update. What's up, Sean? Jeff? All right, what's up, boys? As you can see, I've become a quitter. My good buddy Sean made me a quitter. He's taken over, their shop's taken over the paint job. This is not the color, it's the silver. It's a coating you put on after the poly brush called Poly Spray that adds UV protection on it. But it also shows me all the flaws I've made. So these guys have been cool enough to help me fix a couple little things here and there. Great thing about the polyfiber process is it takes a little heat and we can get all cleaned up. Sean's getting these ready for another coat of poly brush. They'll spray on. And they got all the control surfaces and struts prepped here on the rack. And of course we got the wings. These are still yet to be addressed here, but they're here ready to go. These are fresh off the assembly line at home. I'm getting a little bit better as I go. Fuselage looking pretty fantastic. We'll do a color reveal later, I guess. And then in here, their nice paint booth, we got all the metal parts that are prepped for corrosion before paint. Flap gap seals, fairings, bottom cover for the fuselage, turtle deck, parts for the struts, the tank covers, miscellaneous covers, wheel hubcaps, fuselage covers, and the all-important VGs. The pitot tower for the G3X. Covers for the rear stabilizer elevator. Yeah, coming along pretty cool. They're about to start spraying more primer. And I'm really thankful these guys are doing my job. This part's gonna show, and it's really nice to have the experts here making me look good. All right, thanks a lot, guys. On goes the primer. Okay, yeah, so not really a quitter, but it sure does feel like it was a hard decision to let somebody else take over my project. I was just about ready to turn this shop into a paint booth. It's kind of funny that it's now empty. It's weird not having something to come down to and work on it at night. But I figured no matter how good a job I do on the airplane, it doesn't really matter if the paint doesn't turn out right, because that's the thing everybody sees. And there's a reason why these guys are professionals, and it takes a long time to be good at it. And these guys have a great reputation, and they're good guys. They do some pretty amazing stuff, some kind of secret stuff they do for pretty cool clients. So anyway, I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm excited just to see how the paint job's going to turn out, the scheme and the colors and all that. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, so on to the next step. I'll let them finish that up, and then we'll be putting the airplane back together. On another note, we got some cool stuff to show you. This pretty trick suspension just showed up. This is the tail suspension. It's a coilover suspension instead of the traditional leaf spring, which would be great for off airport. Pretty cool, full adjustability for caster, camber, elevation. And I went with, since I'm starting from scratch, I was able to choose my tail wheel configuration to a 2-bolt, which I think is a little stronger. And then also I went with, instead of the traditional bungees that come on a Super Cub, technology's come a long way in shocks, and there's basically 2 leading companies out there. And this is the latest version for Acme Aero. It's a Gen 4 Black Ops shock. I'm gonna give that a shot, see how that works out. It's a coil inside. It's not just air, it's also coil inside here to help suspend the suspension. And we'll see how that works out. So big shout out to those guys. Been really helpful so far. I dig the American flag there on the tail assembly as well. Really beefy stuff. So I'm excited to try this stuff out, see how it does in the really, really rough stuff. You can see you got the 2-bolt tail wheel, like I said. So we got the monster bush wheels over here ready to go on, and the 2-bolt tail wheel from Alaska Bush Wheels. So yeah, there it is. The cupboards are bare. We got some avionics and the mystery crate over there with the engine in it to put on, and hopefully we'll be flying pretty soon.